Hey, deserving listeners, sister wives, let's check it out.
But know that it's just me learning too, okay?
Okay.
Because I want to understand, like, your whole process of figuring this out, how you came to this conclusion. Is that the right one? Is that acceptable? I'm so nervous.
Yeah, they're editing it. So they're sitting down and more data is coming in that Meri has a really hard time connecting and just talking. I think she's very comfortable in a listening and observing position. Some of you in the audience might know what that feels like, or to be with someone who was like that. And it can look like a level-headed, confident person, but in reality, it's just a mode that they resort to because they either don't know what they feel or they don't feel safe to express themselves. There's just so much fits and starts with her language and her words. We saw different ways of communicating or reacting with Janelle and with Robin. She could be doing all those things right now, but she's not. And I think Mariah might be interpreting it as, well, you're saying that you're accepting, but you're not really, because you're not happy. You don't seem happy. You say you're happy, but you don't look happy. But it could actually just be that Meri is just not accustomed to being in this position where she has to perform verbally. She has to be the one who leads the conversation. It's not great to see. Now, there's also a possibility that there's bigotry in there and it's affecting things. But yeah, and then she said, I would like to know how you came to this conclusion. And yeah, that's not what you tell someone when they come out. When other kids in this family came out as being straight, you didn't sit them down in a very sober, somber way and say, like, I just want to know, like, how you came to this conclusion. How did you figure this out? Because it's considered to be, normal and natural or something. So now there's a possibility that Meri is actually just has never seen these kind of conversations modeled to her, which is affecting things. And she has a good heart and good intentions, but has no way to navigate it. I'm also detecting that she knows that there are landmines. She might have even experienced them online when she just talks in the world. And actually, the whole online flirting thing, the catfishing thing, she might actually find that she can communicate much more freely and openly online. And that's what made her more susceptible to the catfishing, because in person she has trauma about speaking her mind and leading a conversation.
Talk to you about it, because I don't know what you're going to think or feel with my thoughts.
I forgot what I was going to say. I got distracted. But it's possible that in her interactions online and in culture or just our observations, she believes that queer people will jump down her throat if she says the wrong thing, right? That propaganda is out there in right-wing circles and religious circles. And to some extent, it's not an irrational worry. One should be concerned, right? And if you have no practice and you don't live in that world, then you just have to know, like, no matter what words I say, it's probably going to come out wrong, and I'm going to be labeled a bigot or a horrible person. Now, you would hope that in the interim, because there's been some time that's passed, that Meri would look into it. But I think there's a possibility that she has a fair amount of inertia at the very least, and maybe depressed. I don't know. But so there's a possibility that she is tripping over a lot of the worries of stepping on a landmine, and she's communicating. She's like, I don't want to say the wrong thing. I'm sorry if I say. So it's a good start. And Meri also said something earlier that I didn't include, that she said that Mariah doesn't talk much either. And that makes me think that their household had very little conversations, which makes me sad. And that for both of them, Mariah and for Meri, their main contact of conversation was Cody, because Cody is a lot more verbal and more confident to lead a conversation, you know. And without him around, they just were either very quiet or would have very little intimate conversations, which really makes me sad. I would have thought that the way that it looked, that they would have a lot of closeness because of the fact that Meri only had one kid. But it kind of looks like a very isolated existence.
I think just like having the space to be able to figure out how I feel and to be able to do that on my own is something that's needed for me to be able to have a better relationship with her. Like, I mean, I told you guys what I wanted to tell you guys.
Yeah, Mariah's I think she has a policy of just don't try because it's not going to work out well. And I think that she's following in her mom's footsteps. And or Mariah knows by experience that that the conversation will grind to a halt unless Mariah is allowed to be parentified, unless she steps into that role and leads the conversation and accommodates Meri's lack of leadership in a conversation. And I'm using the word leadership as it's not a great word for it, but I hope you know what I mean by it. And Mariah knows that and is like, I'm not going to do it this time because I'm the one that's being crapped on here. And so I'll be damned if I'm going to also lead her down a road where she rises to the occasion that she needs to be rising to anyway, you know? And there's a possibility that Mariah even knows that Meri is depressed, you know, if Meri is depressed. I apologize, by the way, if I'm mixing up Mariah and Meri's name. I'm realizing now that I'm doing that accidentally. But anyway. This episode is sponsored by BetterHelp. So one of my favorite songs of all time is by Elvis Costello, and the song is called Every Day I Write the Book. Now, it's a love song, but you can also think about it as a song about our existence. You know, every day we write the book of our lives. Along these lines, now that it's a new year, you can think about how you want to write your book in 2025. And of course, therapy is a great place that you can explore this sort of thing. You know, in therapy, we can really focus on ourselves and our story. And a great place to find a therapist is at BetterHelp. If you're thinking of starting therapy, it's definitely worth giving a try. BetterHelp is fully online, making therapy both affordable and convenient. They have over 30,000 therapists with a wide range of specialties, and it's easy to switch therapists at any time. So write your story with BetterHelp. Visit betterhelp.com/Kirk today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/Kirk.
See, and I want to know more. I want to know, like, what is going. I mean,
Okay,
no, maybe not necessarily like the process. I just wanted. I don't understand.
What don't you understand?
I don't know.
Oh, it's so frustrating. Yeah, Mariah, thank God she went to college. So I just don't understand. What the fuck don't you understand? It's not that hard. And that points towards bigotry, right? I just don't want to believe that about me. I don't know why. And I haven't heard it overtly, but all the signs are there. But I don't know. And then Mariah's like, what don't you understand? I don't know. It's like talking to a child. If you didn't know the age of the individual and I just wrote these words out, you would assume this was a child. Maybe not even a teenager. Maybe a teenager, but definitely younger than 18. If you've talked with kids that don't have a clear mastery of the spoken word, which, you know, a lot of young kids don't. You've been here before, where you ask a question and maybe a common scenario would be that you're trying to decide what you're on vacation. You're trying to decide like what you're going to eat, and you want your two kids to be happy, and so you ask them, and they're kind of grumpy. They've been walking around Disneyland all day, and you're just like, okay, and you know that if they don't get the sort of food that they want, then it'll be hell for the rest of the evening. So you're really trying to get each kid's okay. What do you? Even though you know that they'd be happy with anything, but you know also that if they perceive it as not their choice, then they'll be in a bad mood and they'll start arrogant, and it'll just ruin everything. So you're just asking the kids, okay, what do you want? And they're like, I don't know. And you're like, okay, well, how about McDonald's? No, even though you know that they like, no, I don't want McDonald's. Okay, well, what do you want then? I don't know what I want. And you know that they want something, right? And you got to get it out of them. And it can just be so frustrating. It's like, okay, to an adult, you could say, hopefully, okay, well, please figure it out because I can't figure it out for you. So take a second and think about it because I have my preferences, but it'd be helpful. It'd be really nice if I knew what you wanted. So go for it. Figure it out. Take as much time as you need. But with kids, they just have a hard time with that. They get in a bad mood. They get a little cranky. And so the way she's responding right now is really quite immature and exhibits a lack of familiarity and just lack of practice and maybe even a locus of control issue, But let's rewind this.
Wanted to tell you guys.
See, and I want to know more. I want to know what is going. I mean,
okay,
no.
So then she says, "Okay, I want to know more." It's like, okay, then ask a question. Ask a question I can answer. Don't just stare at me, And then she says this, but
maybe not necessarily like the process. I just wanted. I don't understand.
What don't you understand?
I don't know.
Yeah. It's just you've had time to think. It didn't just happen, Meri. You've had time to think. Plus, take the time to think. So there's a mode that people will go into, and she's exhibiting this, where they literally have nowhere to stand in terms of like giving them a direction of what to say and what to do. As children will not also have those internal resources. And, how do we as adults who could respond and could navigate the situation at least kind of better than her, what is it about us that gives us that ability? Well, the metaphor in my mind is that there's just all these little lily pads or these little floating dock things that you can land on. I don't know why I'm running into that metaphor, but you're not just flopping around aimlessly in the water. You can jump to this. You have a lot of options. Okay, I'm going to jump over here, and I'll stand on my own 2 feet, and I will feel something, and I will want something, and I will ask something, and I'll have a goal. I will want the goal of, I want her to know that I love her. Okay, so I'm going to go to that lily pad, and I'm going to stand there, and I'm going to communicate that. Okay, now I want to know more, and I feel distant, and I want to know the story, because that's, I think, what she wants. I'm trying to figure out what she wants. I think what she wants is, let me in. I want to feel close to you again, and this is a big deal. And just tell me your whole story. I promise you I won't judge you. I just want to know you. Please just tell me. Give me contact. So I think one of the lily pads she could jump to is just to say, and I think that's what she is, at least that's the charitable interpretation of, how you came to this conclusion. I think she would do better by telling her, look, I am so happy for you, and I'm proud of you that you had the courage to do this, and I'm adjusting my story and my narrative, but that doesn't mean anything, and I'll figure it out. I'm just happy that you know who you are, and that's great. And I will fight anyone who gets in your way about this. And also, so there's that. And I just want to be close to you again. And a part of that, I am hoping that I can rewind the clock a little bit and be there in metaphor anyway, as you go on this journey, as you went on the journey to where you are here. And if you just told me your story that I missed out on, I would be just so grateful. So if there's anything you can tell me, like you said that when you were talking to your friend, then what? Just tell me. I just want to. I think that's what she wants, but she just can't ask because I don't think she really knows what she wants. You have to be differentiated enough to be able to look at yourself and say, what do I want right now?
Like, I'm okay with you asking questions. I'm more than willing to answer, but I don't really know what you're asking.
This process that Mariah has gone through, she's been doing it alone, and I haven't been there for her. I haven't.
Right. This is all in line with what I was saying, or I'm just shoehorning it in. What do you think?
Know you, and I want to know. And I want you to know that I'm in support of you without us just being so edgy with each other. And I want you to know that I'll back you no matter what.
Okay, good. I think she's getting there. It's taking her a torturous amount of time. But okay, I think she's getting there.
I appreciate that. I really do.
Mariah's, she's.
That's good. It looks like Mariah is open. And I thought that when she said, I appreciate that. I was like, oh, is this a real thing that's happening right now? That looked sincere. And then she's like, I really do. So that's a really good sign. And it really shows that Mariah is willing to meet her halfway or even meet her 90. Mariah would really go far because she's not really communicating much. And so for Mariah, I think she might know that Meri is this way.
Nervous about telling you guys. I wanted to tell you.
Yeah.
How did you feel?
Surprised. Just didn't see it coming. Sorry.
Yeah. That's it. Yeah. You just courageously told us that you've found yourself in this, and I'm just surprised. I didn't expect it. Ha ha ha. Like, Meri, okay, go beyond that. What else do you feel? All you got to do is look to Robin and Janelle as models of what the other feeling possible. Now, I guess I keep figuring those feelings are, but there's a possibility she doesn't feel those feelings. There's a possibility there's a fair amount of bigotry inside of her, and she isn't proud. She doesn't think that she's courageous to come out. She doesn't think that Mariah is courageous. So I don't know, because I thought up until this point, Meri was starting to, feel more comfortable to communicate and stand on 2 feet to say something and want to get across something or want to achieve something in this conversation. And then to be asked, okay, how did you feel when that happened? Because Meri was saying, how did you feel when you were telling us? Because me and Cody were being kind of quiet. And then Mariah's like, well, how did you feel? That's kind of the key. And then all she says is surprised. Like, Meri, you're swinging and you're whiffing it, man. All right. Well, that does it for that episode of Psychology in Seattle. Everyone out there, please take care of yourself because you deserve it. You really, really do.